can laziness be a key to getting stuff done? That sounds crazy, doesn't it? If you're being lazy, then you're not going to accomplish much, right? Wrong. In this video, you will learn how being lazy is essential to being productive. But first, a word from our sponsor. Do you find yourself lethargic and lacking motivation? You're getting stuck creatively, and it's been a long time since you've come up with any fresh ideas. Maybe you're becoming more and more irritable, and people are avoiding you. Chances are you're experiencing brain fatigue, or what I call creative dehydration. People ask me, Dr. Wes, what is the solution to my creative dehydration? And my answer is, open up a bottle of strategic laziness. That's right. Studies have shown that adding some strategic laziness into your day restores energy, creativity, and puts you in a better mood. Add some strategic laziness into your life today. Your brain and the people around you will thank you. Well, I hope you don't go looking in your local food store for bottles of strategic laziness. It's a metaphor. But the good news is the benefits of being strategically lazy are available to all productive people. Now, some of you might be saying, hey, Dr. Wes, I have no problem being lazy. I have a problem with not wanting to work. Well, that's a topic for another video. Today, I'm talking to those of you who value being productive, who love achieving positive outcomes from your personal exertion. It seems counterintuitive, but stopping work and resting doesn't reduce achievement. Quite the opposite. Resting, or what I call strategic laziness, actually boosts performance and helps you enjoy your productivity instead of being absolutely depleted by it. Now, I must admit, being strategically lazy is not something that comes naturally to me. I grew up hearing from school teachers, all right, kids, don't be lazy, or you'll turn into a lazy good-for-nothing. I got the message that being lazy was an inexcusable waste of time. I did not want to be branded a lazy person, so I developed a work ethic. But it also led me to developing a bad habit of feeling guilty every time I relaxed.
Hey, what are you doing? I'm resting. Well, haven't you got any important work to do? Well, this is important. No, I'm talking about important stuff, like making a difference in people's lives, contributing to the world, being a good steward of your talents and opportunities. I've been doing that, but in order for me to keep doing that, I need to rejuvenate, stop and sharpen the saw. Well, you go ahead. But while you're sitting there doing nothing, you gotta know that nothing is getting done. You're trying to make me feel guilty, and it's not going to work.
I really like what I do, well, most of it. And I always thought that stopping to relax would cause a loss of momentum, that taking time to rest would delay achieving the goals somehow. I was a champion at pushing myself to get stuff done, to achieve goals, and often my effort was rewarded, not always, but often. But then there came a time when, in an effort to achieve a goal, I pushed myself into a state of absolute burnout. It took me a long time to realize I was burned out, and an even longer time to recover. I learned the hard way that taking time to rest is one of the most productive things that you can do. Let me show you with a diagram the positive effect that not working can have on your overall effectiveness. The y-axis represents our productivity. The higher you are on this axis, the more you are an achievement all-star. Let's hear it for riding high on the y-axis. But your energy doesn't last forever, as we will see on the x-axis. This axis represents what happens over time. Now, when your energy tank is full, we can hit it hard, whether it's work, study, or some other pursuit that requires concentration and effort. However, over time, we lose focus and intensity, and our productivity drops. If we keep pushing ourselves, yeah, sure, we can still be productive, but at a frustratingly low rate. And the drudgery in our work increases. Here is an alternative approach. You start strong and when you start to slide in output, rather than keep pushing yourself, you stop and incorporate some strategic laziness. At first, you think that you're losing momentum, but the only momentum you'll be losing is the momentum towards hating what you do. When you push on, even though you're mentally weary, you begin to resent the work. However, if you incorporate some strategic laziness, you give your body and brain a chance to replenish. When you return to your work, you will do so with more energy, and that increases your productivity and enjoyment. These are two different approaches to work. This one is where you just grind it out until the job is done. And people succeed all the time going this way. But they also put themselves at risk of burning out, or at least making the journey more miserable for themselves and the people in their world. This approach involves less drudgery and more fun along the way. Now, what form should strategic laziness take? What activities are valid forms of life-replenishing laziness? And what activities are dubious in their ability to energize? Here are some guiding principles. A. Strategic laziness has to interrupt your work activity. For example, reading is a great form of strategic laziness, but it depends on what you read. If your work involves selling, then reading the book, How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling, does not qualify as strategic laziness. That's just keeping your brain in work mode. For a book to pass the strategic laziness seal of approval, it has to be a book that transports you away from your work. For example, before I became a clinical psychologist, I loved the movie What About Bob, starring Bill Murray. It's the story of a lovable guy who lacks social awareness at a pathological level. Nowadays, I find it hard to watch the movie because it reminds me so much of my work. Same with Good Will Hunting. Brilliant movie, but watching it keeps my brain in work mode. So, A, strategic laziness has to interrupt work activity. B, strategic laziness should reconnect you with your sources of inspiration. So if your spirit is energized by going surfing, then surfing would qualify. Unless you're a professional surfer, then it would not qualify. If your emotional tank is replenished by hiking in the mountains, then hiking would qualify. Unless you earned your living reviewing hiking equipment, then it would not qualify. You get the picture. In order for an activity to qualify as strategic laziness, it should reconnect you with your sources of inspiration, not reconnect you with your work. Now, what about activities that are dubious in their strategic laziness benefits? There are some of those. For example, scrolling through your cell phone. You may think that scrolling through your cell phone looks like this, but to your brain, it looks like this. You may think you're giving your brain a break, but your brain does not see it that way. Here are a couple more activities that don't seem to create the benefits of strategic laziness. Surfing the internet and watching television. These activities are definite distractions, so they do give us a break from thinking about all our responsibilities, but they don't seem to refuel our spirit as much as, say, walking along the beach or having friends over for a meal. Now, I'm not saying don't binge watch your favorite TV show, but don't be surprised if it doesn't restore your mental energy as much as you think it would. I greatly appreciate some of the benefits of internet connectivity, but be careful about how much internet interaction you have when you're being strategically lazy. Let me tell you about one time when interacting with the internet cost me dearly. I married Ellie when she was 20 and I was 22. We have an awesome marriage, but one day I tested it beyond what a reasonable man should attempt. We're on a cruise that started in Venice, Italy, and made its way down to the Greek islands. One morning, the cruise ship docked so that we could spend the day in beautiful Mykonos. Before we got off the ship, I thought, hey, I should just do a quick check of my emails. What a foolish, stupid, dumb idea that was. And here's why. At the time, I was the president of an organization that had awarded a lucrative construction contract to a particular company. Another company that did not win the contract felt that we had not given their proposal sufficient attention, so they sent an email informing us that they were going to sue us in court, accusing the organization's leadership, of whom I was the president, of failing to abide by our own organizational bylaws. It was a hot mess, and it ruined my entire day in Mykonos. I basically abandoned Ellie to explore Mykonos by herself while I spent the entire day trying to sort out the legal mess. It all started with me saying, "Honey, before we get off the ship, let me just quickly check my emails." And it ended with me stripping the awesomeness out of our marriage for at least that day. Like I said, I greatly appreciate some of the benefits of the internet, but be careful about how much internet you connect to when you are being strategically lazy. Mykonos, I apologize for missing out on the beautiful relaxation that you offered. I'm coming back, and I will give you my full attention. So let me take you through 7 ways that being strategically lazy helps you become more productive. Number 1, it restores your ability to focus. Your concentration diminishes over time, and that negatively impacts your performance. Why? Well, there's a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. It's the part of your brain that does all the heavy-duty computing of life, such as solving problems, logical thinking, and developing strategies for achieving goals. Just like your physical muscles need rest, so does your prefrontal cortex. It gets tired and needs a break. Resting your prefrontal cortex allows it to recover, and it refreshes your brain's ability to focus. And that helps improve productivity. A little while ago, I flew into Cincinnati, Ohio on a business trip. I decided to fly in a day earlier so that I could visit some friends in Illinois. I picked up a rental car at the airport and I started a 5-hour drive to get to my destination. After driving for about 3 hours, this warning light came on the dashboard. Please take a break. I don't know how the vehicle knew I was losing focus, but it was telling me that I had passed the point of maximum alertness. It was gently suggesting I give my prefrontal cortex at least a cup of coffee. Number 2, strategic laziness improves memory. Scientific studies show that periods of rest help reset parts of the brain responsible for memory. Now, in my clinical practice, people sometimes express concern that they're experiencing early onset dementia, that they're getting old and not remembering things, when in reality, the only thing that they are forgetting is forgetting to give their brain a rest from all the stress they carry. Number 3, scientific studies show that strategic laziness decreases distress, which has a positive impact on performance. You well know from your own experience that when you are distressed, you don't tend to perform as well. So rest is the antidote to distress. Number 4, taking regular breaks has been shown to strengthen the immune system. Some studies go so far as to suggest that rest reduces inflammation and the risk of heart disease. So do your heart a favor, rest. Number 5, strategic laziness increases creativity. Often when we're grinding away in our responsibilities, we start to lose our creative capacity. It's like the creative part of our brain is the first to shut down when we're tired. One of the signs that you are burned out is that you feel like you've lost your creative spark. If you are feeling creatively stuck, take a break from what you're doing. Take a long walk in nature. You'll find your creativity starts to come back online, though it may need to be a really long walk if you are clinically burned out. Number 6, incorporating some strategic laziness reduces the potential of you going home and collapsing in utter exhaustion and shortchanging the ones you love the most, your family, your dog, your cat, and most importantly, you. And finally, number 7, being strategically lazy reduces the potential of you developing chronic fatigue or burnout. I learned this the hard way. Burning out can take you out of action for a long time. And burnout is completely avoidable. Now, strategic laziness will look different for each one of you. But you will know the activity or non-activity that replenishes you the best. Make a list of those things that replenish you, and when you're starting to slide in performance, get out your list and choose an activity that has met your criteria for strategic laziness refreshment. We live in a crazy world. So many voices telling us to keep hustling, keep climbing, and keep grinding it out. And sure, there is a time for working hard and toughing it out. Some people may grab a hold of this strategic laziness concept and use it as an excuse to avoid hard work. Well, that's not my intention. Hard work is good, but it's not good if it grinds your spirit into the ground. And I want you to enjoy your work. So many people benefit from the work that you do. Strategic laziness is my prescription to ensure that you don't burn out along the way. I hope this video has helped you in some meaningful way. If it has, subscribe, like, recommend the video to someone you care about. Join me in making life better for everyone.